Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another beautiful day with us on Live with Lloyd. I am your host, astronumerologist Lloyd Strayhorn. As you see, we have a very special guest, and she is a very special friend of mine, Dr. Jana Woodhouse, who is a legendary financial advisor. She is here to be of service to all of us today. Well, before we start, though, let me do this. Okay, and then I got one more thing to do, and nope, yep, hold on. Let me do this. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Um, this is a 8 universal year for money. This is a 8 universal month, even more for money. Tomorrow, I do believe, no, Wednesday on the 17th and 18th, Jerome Powell, the head of the um,
Reserve.
Federal Reserve, thank you very much, Jana, is going to be giving a statement that's going to change positively, negatively, or whatever, the whole financial balance of this country. And so I have a great expert on, but before I bring her on, let me introduce my sponsors, which is Intellectual Powers Visit Islam. When you click on the code, just type in the code numbers for your discount. Also, Nicholas Brooklyn at 1396 Fulton Street in Brooklyn. I'm long overdue. I'm going to try to get there as soon as I can. Also, King Simon. He has a 2-day celebration to honor Baba Dick Gregory on October the 12th, which is happened to be his birthday, and the following day, the 13th. Also, Miss Kimberly on Manifest on Purpose podcast, which is about using your mindset principles to manifest the life that attracts your desires. And before I bring on Jana, let me say this, that today is a Monday. It is September the 16th, and the sun is in Virgo. It's a full moon in Pisces. Technically, it'll be a full moon tomorrow at 10:34 p.m. But since the moon is almost nice and round, I just said the full moon. I'm getting a little ahead of it. And it also is a lunar eclipse. It's an 8 universal month, 11 universal week, a 6 universal day. So for those under the signs of Taurus and Libra, or those that are born on the 6th, the 15th, or the 24th, this is your day. Okay. Well, without further ado, I'd like to bring on my very special guest with her beautiful self. Yay! Hi, Jana. Now, for y'all, this is Dr. Woodhouse. Okay. For me, it's my girl, Jana.
That's right.
you
Well,
know,
thanks so much, Lloyd, for having me on.
you know, um, it seems like I was telling someone in the store, and I think I even mentioned on this show last week. I was in the store, and one organic lemon was $1.99. One lemon. And so that tells me if the price is going up, does that mean the value of the dollar is going down? Is that what that says?
Well, that's called inflation and your buying power. Most people hear that word inflation, and we're at that stage now in our economy where our buying power is minimized. So yes, you're going to see. I think it was a year ago we had $7 for a dozen of eggs. You know,
Yeah,
made a
that's
lot of
true.
people vegetarian. you know, it is a time now that we have to pay attention to the buying power of our dollar. As we all know, as of 1933, the dollar had no backing of any precious metal, no gold, no silver. It just is a thought. You know what they say, what came first, the chicken or the egg? It was the thought. So that's what we got, is a thought. Now, outside of that, we have to figure out how are we going to save our dollar? How are we going to minimize our expenses? And I think you just mentioned about the Federal Reserve getting ready to talk about interest rates. If they lowered the interest rates to, let me put it this way, the banks are like the casinos. They gonna win. Okay.
Oh, so
You
in
just
other
need
words, it's stacked in their favor, no matter how it's sliced.
That's it. And so in this case, the banks, we should be really upset because the banks are giving anywhere, they think they're giving you something, and we don't know any better. So what they do is they give us an interest rate like 2%, and we think that's something good because we've seen less than that. But it's not good. Inflation right now, and the prime is somewhere around about 8%. So if your money's not doing 8%, you losing. So you've got to do something to make more money. Now, the S&P 500 has done, on an average, that's an average, so it's had highs and lows, but it's been about 9%. So, but we scared to go into the market. We don't want to lose any money. Well, you losing money if your money is only doing 2% and your buying power is doing 8. Okay, this is simple math.
That's
Numbers.
a no-brainer to me.
You losing 6% on your money. And we get happy. We go and we take our money and we give it to folks and not making nothing for ourselves. So just like I tell folks, go into the bank and take 5,000. I used to say 10, but money change. So take 5,000 in cash and then leave, deposit it and leave, and come back in an hour and say, "Oh, changed my mind. I want my 5,000 back." They're gonna give you a check because they done floated that. That's called
Yes,
float.
I was told they can't do if let's say for that 5,000, maybe they'll have 1,000 on reserve in case you want to come back, and they already lent out 4,000 of that money you just deposited in physical cash to someone else.
It's in the credit cards, the bank, the loans, the house loans, the car loans. It's in all of those things. Those are personal loans. So you see, you're paying anywhere from 8-9% on a loan, and that's your money. That's your money, and they're giving you 1% or 2%. It's an okey doke. We need to stop being suckers.
Well, let me ask you this. If there's inflation, I heard of stagflation. Now, what is that?
Well, my understanding of stagflation is it's not moving nowhere, but that's not true.
What do you
That's not
mean?
true. That's not true. Your money is moving on a constant basis. So that's my interpretation. I'm not sure what they're meaning by it per se, but it is your money's not moving, but money moves on a consistent basis all the time. So you just need to try to see, like when we used to play double dutch and we had to sort of figure out when we getting in. We got
Yeah.
to figure out how to get in. And in the game, not playing checkers, but playing chess, being strategic.
Wasn't there a time in the old days where our elders simply had money that they held in a can and buried it in the backyard, or had money under the mattress and whatnot? And then on top of that, nowadays I understand many branches are closing.
Well, they're not really closing, they're being acquired.
Oh,
There's a
that's another
difference.
word for it. Okay.
Yeah,
Can you
because if
explain the
they
difference?
yeah, if they close the banks at this stage, okay, banks live by their assets. Their assets, what are their assets? Your mortgage, your car loan, all of those are assets to them. So if they totally close, there may be a run on the bank. They're not going to do that. So they're going to set it up so that
When you say a run on the bank, what do you mean?
that means everybody come and go take their money out.
Okay,
They
I
want
just
their
want to
money
be
now.
clear. Yeah, yeah,
That was something that happened back in 1929.
yeah. October
It happened
29th.
again in the 80s, where people were like, they're not trusting. So just recently, we had a few banks to merge. You had Republic Bank to merge. The bigger banks are taking over. But then when they take over the asset, they take over the loans.
I see. That's interesting. There's this index they talk about, the faith index, buyer faith, buyer confidence. Does that mean that they're looking at the faith that the general bank depositor has in money?
Well, that's all there is faith, because it doesn't have anything to back it. So I'm not sure these terms, but I do know that people, that's what they believe. If I give you $20, you believe that's worth $20. You should be able to buy something with it if we exchange. That's just belief. If I write $20 on a piece of paper, which I've seen that happen, you're going to believe you can take this and do something with it. Guess what? That's the same thing like your mortgage. You sign all those papers, and the bank takes that money, takes those papers, and goes to the Federal Reserve and gets a loan for 3 times the amount of what you just caused in debt.
That's amazing, you know.
That's the reality of how money works. They get to take the money. So let's say you got a mortgage at 300,000.
Yeah.
Well, they can go get 900,000 off of that and then loan it out to someone else. Now, you default, okay? They foreclose, and they get the house plus your money that you gave them.
Wow. So the bank got it going both ways.
Hey, what I say, they like casinos. They always win. You just got to find out, what can you get out of this? How do you do well? And the thing is that we in our community, and I'm just going to lay it on the line here.
Please
I'm
do.
real.
That's why you on
Is
this
that
show, Dr. Yana.
we go for the okey doke, the get rich quick scheme. I'm going to, there's so many schemes and things out there, and we fall for it all the time, instead of finding out the truth. This is Life Insurance Awareness Month. September is. The majority of us have not a clue how life insurance works. All we know is that someone told us that if we die, we should have something so we leave our family. But there's living benefit to life insurance. Nobody talks about that. The way the wealthy have been dealing in life insurance for eons, being able to put money, sock money in there, and then take it out and borrow it from yourself tax free. And if you didn't pay it back, so what? Because it would just reduce the face value of your life insurance. Things that we could do, but we don't. And the reason is that we're looking for the get rich quick. So they came out with cryptocurrency.
That's
Okay.
what I was going to ask about cryptocurrency. That was next on the list.
Okay. So the crypto is, again, it's a world of thought. It's
Can
a
you
thought.
explain?
It started out with, as I have understood, I always have to preface, because this thing didn't make any sense to me at first. And then I said, okay, neither does money, currency. But in the crypto, you are at that point doing, it's a mathematical equation being solved. And you're investing in that element of the mathematical equation being solved, and how many people will solve it. Okay, that's good. The only way crypto really, I have asked many of the experts, and I'm like, how you get your money out? So they do have the wallet. But the thing is if you have a wallet and you don't remember your password, you done lost your money.
I heard of an incident about 2 years ago. A man had something about a couple of million. He could not remember his password and he did not get past go.
No. And that's something that I don't want to put my money in something that I can't get some of it out, but also I have to find someone who's willing to trade for me. It's like back in the days when we used to have something called pink sheets. These were the penny stocks. And you could buy the penny stock, but if you couldn't find anybody to trade with you, then you were stuck with it. And if it went bankrupt, you went bankrupt too. That's the whole element of this industry. Buying stocks and bonds is good because you're feeding these companies. But the thing is that it doesn't mean a hill of beans if you don't have your goals, your dreams, your desires put in there, and you invest in the things that you buy. That's the power. If you like to go to certain things, like I'm going to mention someone um like Target, if you're going to it, you're putting your money in it, hey, why don't you invest in it? You take your kids to Disney land, Disney World, either one. You go there, you spend your money. Well, why don't you circulate your money by investing in that stock?
You know, that makes sense. And we are heavily consumer driven.
And we need to stop. We need to be business oriented. I did last weekend before last, I did a session on with the it was called the Black Women's Wellness. It was put together by the Round Table, New York City Round Table, and my presentation was on the structure of business and how it's taxed. If I could have $1 for every LLC that's out here, I would be a billionaire and I wouldn't be talking anywhere. Okay.
Yeah, you be too busy enjoying your
I'd
life.
be too busy. So the thing is that you need to know the structure, of the business. You know, the what are you? How are you being taxed? Today is the last day for you to file your partnerships and your S corps. It's the last day. So I love you, Lloyd, because you know where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, no, no, no. Listen, in fact, when I reach out, she says, listen, today is the cutoff for businesses to prepare their taxes. But she gave me an hour, which I am so thankful. Believe me,
I will.
I'm gonna keep you just 1 hour,
It's
and
okay,
that's back
bro,
to
because the
business.
information, the people you touch, the information that's out here, we have right now a time that, and I'm sure there's something through numerology to talk about this, but we have a serious time taking place in this country. And this election is more than a presidential election. We need to be paying attention to the local levels. Why? Because on the local level is where all the laws are being made. When you hear Congress, because shoot, as I put it, as rough as I can put it, is that Congress and the Senate could totally throw out, constipate the entire whoever's in president's position, lock it down. He can lock it down, so they can lock it down. So why are you paying attention to the person that's at the head, that's going to be in the head? Because they really not the head. It's what's going to happen to the body. And that's where we're not paying any attention to it, unfortunately.
I
And
want
it's
to
go
let me
ahead.
let you finish it. I
No,
want to
and that's why I'm like
Mhm.
at this stage. I was telling you earlier when you called me, I said I would love to hear what the take is on what's getting ready to happen in November. But the bottom line is it's not really about the presidency. It is truly about the Congress and the Senate. And if you don't know, which I have asked people, I said, do you know who your congressman is? Do you know who your senator is? No, you know, and we need to be about making things happen in our community. We need businesses. We could do business with people abroad. Our brothers and sisters in Africa want to do business with us.
Yes, they do.
The problem is we don't have a business structure set up right. How are you going to do business internationally and you don't have your business set up? During the time when they had the PPP loans, there were people who put together businesses, fictitious businesses. They got the money, and what did they do? They spent it. They didn't get anything done. I'm so tired of us pointing the finger, telling folks that we don't have an opportunity. We do have the opportunity. We just need to make it
Take
about our business.
advantage of it.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that why financial illiteracy runs through our community the way it does?
Throughout, because no one's teaching us and no one's talking to us. And I'll tell you one of the biggest things, and I'm talking about my industry, is that the average financial advisor has been told not to talk to anyone who doesn't have at least $250,000 to invest.
Hold up. Can you repeat what you just said?
My industry, the financial service industry, all these companies out here do not want to deal with the smaller investors. So if you don't have $250,000 to invest, they're not interested. Reason why I came in this industry was because back in the 80s, I'm dating myself. It was back in 1984. I had my tax office. As y'all all know, I started my business when I was 19 years old. And I sent my clients out to get tax-free bonds because the interest rates were like 50, they were like 8-9%. And then the thing is that regular interest rates were 14-15 because that's what inflation was. Okay. And that's your buying power. And then, but the thing is that our tax rate, we think we got a tax rate now that's like at the top 38. How about 50%? It
Are
used to
you
be,
serious,
oh,
Yana?
yeah. It was 50%. The maximum tax rate back in the 80s was 50%. So for every dollar you got, 50% of it went to the government. So I
Wow.
sent my clients out to get tax free bonds, which meant the interest would never be taxed. And what happened? They got sent back to me saying they didn't qualify. So at that point, I went to find out, and that's how I wound up on Wall Street because I needed to find out how come they're not qualified. Well, they needed to now this is in the 80s. They needed to make $100,000 in income. That wasn't happening in my community. And they needed to have investment quality or free money available to invest $500,000.
You know, that tells me that was a financial scheme.
That's it.
Keep people in check and
That's
keep our
it.
community in check.
And block people from truly investing, blocking them because I did not qualify. That's why we see now a lot of these investment opportunities. I'll use that word loosely. What's the first thing that comes in our community? We got the multi-level marketing folks first. Then you come back and then you got the Forex. They're going to teach you how to deal in foreign exchange. Have you ever looked at the foreign exchange? Okay. It's not the foreign exchange that they're
They're thinking
investing in.
about.
What they're doing is that you're investing in selling knowledge. That's where they make their real money, and these are things that you just go look. If you don't believe me, go look, you know. And the thing is that why don't we do things like invest and have something for our children? There are investments out there that's doing 10, 15, 20%. They're also connected to life insurance also, whereas if the worst case scenario, you can't lose your money, what you put in, you know. There are things, but what you need to do, since I got the floor, what you
Yes,
need to
thank you.
do
Mhm.
is get a good financial advisor who will talk to you and talk to you whether you got $10 or you got 10 million. That's what you need.
No, that's where Dr. Woodhouse comes in. Okay.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. What's the difference with that, what you just said, a financial planner and a wealth manager? Does that make sense?
Yes. It talks about their license.
Huh?
Okay. It's their license, what they're licensed to offer. A wealth manager takes a portfolio, and most of them are what we call Series 65 or 66. They are fiduciaries. They are to take care of the client's wealth. They get paid for that. Usually it's like 1% of the portfolio that they get paid for that. I remember when I first thought about coming into this industry, I was watching TV and Michael Jordan's financial advisor was on TV, and he said he don't know how to dribble a ball and he doesn't know how to dunk one, but he knows how to get 1% of his assets every
Know
year.
how
I
to
was like,
dribble that out,
whoa.
right?
I was like, yes, but what do? We think these people know everything. So we put our money in their hands, and they're doing the difference between a client and a customer. When you are a customer, you are buying a service and then you go bye bye, get out my
Uh-huh.
face.
Uh-huh.
A
Hmm.
client is nurtured. A client is one that you cultivate and you work with for until they say stop. I wanted to say for the rest of their life, but that's how I feel. I have connections with my clients on all different levels and lifetime relationships. But we need to know what we're doing with them. And like Oprah said, I love her words. She said, don't close your eyes. You write the check. No matter how big your money gets, you write the check. And that's what we need to do is pay attention.
Yeah, because there've been plenty in history of black, white, who matter, who have actually been ripped off and taken advantage of by their so-called financial managers
Of
and
course.
left
So
them
the
with no money.
difference, just like you asked, was what's a wealth manager? That's what they do. Now, a financial advisor will advise, but there's one level that has become known in the industry just recently, I would say over the past 10 years, is a financial educator. Why? Because people got tired of financial brokers telling them what to do and they didn't understand what they were doing. And so, they just gave people their money. And then when the broker says, do this, and they said, why? And the broker says, because I said so. No.
Actually, you are like a financial educator, really.
Yes, I am. I spend a lot of time educating people on how money works and breaking it down, because sometimes the financial world speaks a different language and we don't understand it. There's some terms, like, for example, one of the biggest ones I've ever told people is buying stuff short. And we're like,
Yeah,
short.
who's he? You know?
Right, who's short? But it means you don't own it, but you can sell it or you can buy it.
That's interesting.
These are terms, so if you knew it, you might do it, but
And if you
someone needs.
understood it, you just might not do it.
That's right. If you knew better, you do better for yourself and your family. We need to have money conversations at the dinner table. And sometimes we don't have dinner tables. So therefore, we need to have it on the corner block. We need to talk about it and not be, ashamed that we haven't done certain things. It's that doesn't matter what you did, it's where you're going. And one thing that I'm gonna bring up, because I know we talked about this, is stop selling grandma's gold and silver.
Actually, that their gold and silver is more valuable than these gold imitations and silver
Oh,
imitations.
really? I remember this was years and years ago. I had a client of mine who was in the Diamond District, and he was of a different culture.
Hmm.
And he said to me, "Your people stupid." So you weren't fighting words at that point.
Yeah,
I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "That's when we had them door knocker earrings."
yeah,
He
yeah.
said, "Your people buy these things, they crush them, and then they pay me to blow them back up. Who does that? Why don't you just buy the fine gold?" And
That
I couldn't
makes
say much.
sense.
I
But
couldn't say much other than, well, you greedy, because you should have told them not not to buy those door knockers and get real gold. But I mean, the price of gold and silver are so important.
yeah, because we're going
And
to talk about that too. Because I want to get rid of talk about the cryptocurrency. But Johnny Johnson says he said, "Thank us very much." He says the principal interest never decrease, but late fees are always increased. This is a legal
mhm.
scam plus ATM fees.
Oh yeah, the ATM world, the and he's right. The late fees increase, but that's why it's important that you have a financial advisor or guidance or educator, because there's things we use that doggone telephone, that cell phone, and we don't use it for what it could be used for. You could put automatic payments on there, do your budget. There's things you can do to help yourself get through and become financially free. First, you got to know what that financial freedom looks like. My dad said, he who writes the check is free. That's what we need to do is to have a business, because we all know LeBron James, wonderful player. That's great. Okay. He had a check for $83 million one time. That's what they hired him for. I want to be the person who wrote the $83 million, because if I wrote a check for 83 million, how much did I get to keep?
Yeah. And how much are
Mine's
you going to make too?
That's it. I'm going to make and continuously make, because there's billions of dollars that we spend in the sports arenas. We get all wrapped up. We try to get our kids to be the best player. Everybody can't be a player. Okay, everybody can't do that, but they could be a therapist. There are other positions that you can get paid for, and you can do it independently and really get an opportunity to make more money than the person who's playing.
Well, interestingly enough, this one says banks make up these terms to confuse people so we don't know what's going on. Like when you said short, I'm saying, oh, you mean shorty up the block?
Yeah, that's a big ordeal. They do make up the terms. We talk a different language, and I'm here to dispel that and tell folks what it really means. We have something that's called the rule of 72.
I was going to
And
ask you about that too. I've heard that mentioned. Can you explain what that means, please?
sure, the rule of 72. Einstein said it was the eighth wonder of the world.
Really?
Yeah, and numbers work. So
Yes. Yes.
we got to know our numbers, and we got to stop saying math is difficult. It's not. So here you go. You take the number 72
Yeah.
divided by the interest that you're receiving on your savings, investments, whatever, and divide it. So the average, let's say the average savings account is getting 1%. You take that 1%, divide it into 72, and it takes 72 years for your money to double. So if you put $1 in the bank, 72 years from now, it's going to be $2.
Are you serious?
That's the rule of 72. So how do you get your money to double faster is let's say you got 12%. Well, at 12%, probably every 6 years, your money is going to double. That sounds a little bit better. Okay, I can work with 6%. The problem is that we're so scared we'll put our money in the bank because we think it's safe.
Actually, they've just passed a law recently that there's no more bailout as so much as bail in, which means if the banking system collapses, you can't get the money. They'll give you
No,
a stock certificate and get like 10 cents on the dollar that you got in your bank.
if that much, so it's important because the banks are investing. Because let's put it this way, I just described what happens if you had money in a savings account. Okay, suppose you just paid the minimum amount on your credit card. And I
Hmm.
give credit to President Obama for this. He listed what that would look like. And what does that mean? So what it means is that I just said 12%. So let's say you had a credit card at 12% and you only paid the minimum amount. Hmm. Well, then at that point, every 6 years, your balance is doubling. So you never get out. It'd be like
I was going to
25,
say
30
that's like
years.
going 2 steps up and 4 steps back.
That's the deal. And so we've got to think about what we're doing. We got to pay more than the minimum. Number one, we need to stop getting into this debt. You know, I'm thankful to one of the authors of How Money Works for Women, Sharon Lecter. She fought so that they could stop going to our high schools and giving kids credit cards. That was dangerous because you get the credit card, but you don't even know how money works. So, as you're seeing here, those are the three books that I promote. One is How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker. Y'all
That's
know
what
what
you
that
gave
means.
me. That one changed my life and how I started looking at money. That
I'm
right in the
glad.
center.
That sucker, it came from the fact that we walked into the bank, and to the left and to the right at the teller's unit, it usually was lollipops. And those lollipops, before we got into this game of educating people, those lollipops were suckers and they were dum dums. So they were subliminally telling you what they thought of you. You's a dum dum. Why? Because you're bringing your money to us. So then we have How Money Works for Women. That book is set up Take Control or Lose It. It covers 9 women's lives in different stages and how they can handle if you're being in next month is domestic violence month. Very key that it basically says 1 out of 5 women are going to encounter domestic violence. So how do they get out of it? We have a checklist to help them. We do workshops for women to tell them, and also in the book, I got a little quote even. So, you know, my quote is, what is it? Is that there is, I should read my quote.
Please
I'm
do.
going to read my little quote. It
Please
says
do.
here, How Money Works for Women. Take control or lose it. It's a tool for women to take with them and their journey in their financial literacy. Okay. And it says externalize the words, read the book, then internalize it so you can do it. Remember, knowledge is power, action is queen. Get busy working with it. Doesn't mean a hill of beans if you know something and you do nothing about it.
Amen on that
And
one.
so those 2 books are physical books. The third book is Change Your Literacy, Change Your Life. That's an ebook. And so all of those books can be ordered off of my website. Yes. And it's we can also do it under howmoneyworks.com/Jana B. That's Jana with a J. Jana, JANAB. If you go to the site, you can order the books. We send them to you free 99.
Interesting.
Knowledge is power.
Knowledge
Action.
is power. Here's a question that was this person says, Dr. Yana B. Woodhouse, how should companies or individuals manage debt in a rising interest rate environment? And you're working on businesses too right now.
Huh?
I says that right now, this is where you said you're doing taxes for business clients.
It is. Okay, the first thing you need to do if you are in a debt situation, especially as individuals and also businesses have a better opportunity if they've done things right with their finances. They can get loans, low interest loans. But the better thing to do is to set your budget up and to look at your debt. And this is businesses and individuals. Look at your debt. My philosophy is that you look at the interest rate that you're paying on this debt. This is how you got to manage it. The higher the interest, I just gave you the rule of 72. So if that interest rate is high, how are you going to deal with it is that you're going to pay the minimum on your other debts. But those high interest rate ones, start knocking them down. As you knock down the interest, knock down the balances on them, because you're paying on the balance, the principal plus the interest. Once you break one down, take the total amount and put it to the next one. The key is to have someone to be accountable to, because you're not going to do this by yourself. You're going to get frustrated, you're going to stop. So to prevent that from happening, have an accountability partner, preferably a professional, a financial advisor who you got to see at least every 6 months and tell them what you did or what you didn't do. you know so how I attack when people have gotten in debt, but the key is try not to get in debt.
In the first place.
Yeah,
Well,
don't
this
go there.
country in and of itself is $34 trillion and counting in debt
That's
in and
it.
of itself.
So why you playing this game? Why not? Okay, when they give you that card, manage it. You know that you can pay that bill. You get a 30-day float. Think about it. Just like the banks get a float, you get one. So you buy it and then you pay it off. You still, everybody is allowed in this country to have their annual credit report, free.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a free report. You need
Once a
to
year.
go once a year.
Mm-hmm.
Annually, you can get it. Go and get it and look at it. I'm going to say this because I love my people, but I'm going to tell the truth on you. There's too many of y'all using your children's social security number to go and get the lights put on, the cell phone done. Stop doing that. You're ruining their credit. Because if you couldn't pay and you ruined yours, why are you going to go ruin theirs?
And they wouldn't like it at all.
No. So stop it and get yourself straight. I will give anybody who hears my voice a free financial analysis. My team is always available to do a free financial, no obligation. You do not have to do business with us. But if you have a plan, then you're most likely protecting yourself from failing. Without the plan, you're probably going to fail. So we need these things.
Yeah, what they say, you without a plan, you plan to fail.
Yeah. And we need to stop. We need to get real. This economy is no joke. And if we don't, we got an opportunity. There are some deals out there, such as there's places that you can get your home. There's like NACA. NACA puts you on a budget. NACA looks at your credit. NACA then helps you to get the inspection on the house. The interest rates, you it may be a little higher right now, but remember, I come from a world that it was 14-15%. So this is like home free. But you can't just sit back and do nothing. This is Life Insurance Awareness Month. I charge everyone, make sure that you protect your family. We got some cuckoo crazy folks out here these days. You are blessed to come back home, but just in case you didn't, make sure that your family is not suffering. It should be, you should have enough insurance that would cover at least 10 years of your take home pay. Why? Because it takes that long for us to get in ourselves together. Here in New York, we had 9/11. You would think that when that happened, that people would buy more insurance. No, the insurance purchases went down. They gave up. You know, that is like the last bill that people want to pay. They consider it a bill, and it's not. It's an investment in your family. It's amazing. And I know Anthony Anderson said it so well. How come we will pay insurance to insure our flat screen TV, our cell phone, but we won't insure the
A
people
penny,
watching?
a penny, none.
So, we got a lot to do,
And then we wound up starting up GoFundMe.
and that's it. GoFund. I did a seminar we had that time because it was live at the time, and it was you fund you. Instead of GoFundMe, you fund you. Put something together so that you can build a legacy for this next generation. But before you do that, teach them. You got to teach them. And if you don't know, get them to something that they will know. You know, I do a show on uh soulcity.me, and that's part of our I do a show called Access Wealth Nation, and it's every Thursday at 6 p.m. We're going to start the new season next week. And I'll tell you, I'm bringing some gems. I'm going to be talking about everything that I can possibly talk about, to get people to understand about how money works. So,
You know,
you can
I
always tune in.
listen.
It's on Facebook.
It's absolutely amazing. In fact, this person says here, preach, doctor. I always tell anyone I know that if that is 25, if you put 500 per month for 40 years, you will end up with 2.6 million with an average of 10% return on the S&P 500, like VOO, whatever that is.
I don't know what the VOO, but the truth is that's true. But you don't even, if you can't do 500, I'm going to go back to the old days. Can you do 100? Can you do $1 a day, $30 a month? Can you do something? You can get better with it later. But truly, if you put the money away, and I don't know if they meant to in the 40-year period, but to do it tax deferred. See, there's taxable investments. There's tax deferred. We know what those are. Those are like our 401ks and annuities and 403bs. And then there's things called tax free or tax advantage. That's your Roth IRA or life insurance growth or municipal bonds, but those are not growing so well right now. But
Dr. Woodhouse, if you don't
mhm,
mind, and we're so close to the hour. Can I keep you just a little over the hour? Because I haven't
yes, you
even
can.
touched on some of the stuff. I mean, this is too important because this person here says, "What are your thoughts on trust funds?"
Very important. And I think that it's important that, okay, trust. Let's do the trust. What does it mean? Trust is important to put monies and assets in so that they can transfer properly um, to the next generation, or they can also be used because there's trust funds that are for Medicaid trusts that will protect your assets so that if you wind up needing long-term care, they can't take all your money. They're good, but again, with them there's as many trust as there are thoughts. So you
Interesting.
need to know what kind of trust are you going to get. And is it going to be a statutory law type of trust, or is it a common law trust?
Or is it
This
a
is
revocable or irrevocable trust?
That's it. You know what? That's the truth. So there's so many levels to it. It's not just the trust, it is how you're going to use it. You need to use it in the manner that you're going to protect the assets of your family or to fund it, because we put together all this money. And I'll give the example of some of the greatest trust out there. There is the Kennedy Trust, the Kennedy family. The Kennedys have it set up. They are the beneficiaries of a mega trust. Okay. But there's a stipulation on that trust. To receive the funds from the trust, you must do civil service. That's why you see they're all in politics or they work for nonprofits.
Makes sense. And they all
Makes
that's
a
all
lifetime
qualify for
income.
the trusts.
That's it. Mitt Romney, one of our US senators, is, the only tax that he pays is on his salary for the Senate. But he has money. He's a millionaire, multimillionaire, and he
Almost
doesn't have
all
to
of
pay
them,
tax.
almost all of them are multimillionaires, to be
Yeah, they
honest.
don't, and they'll never change the trust law. They're not going to change. They're not going to change the insurance laws because that's what they use.
Here's another one that says those pay advance places also are like cancers in the community, robbing out people with interest. Is that like payday or something
Yeah,
like
they're
that?
they're they're illegal in New York.
They're
but
who in New York?
they're illegal in New York. Payday,
Interesting.
yeah, but
Interesting.
they sneak through by showing it through the internet, but they're illegal. They okay, let me tell you. Remember we just talked about the rule of 72?
Yeah.
All right. So payday loans average about 300%. That
What?
means that your balance doubles almost every 3 to 4 days.
What? So you'll take forever. So
You
let's
can't
say
get
you
out.
get a TV for $300, and it's going to take about 6 to 10 years to pay it off. Is that what you're
If it
saying?
ever gets paid off, because that money is rolling. And that's the whole thing is that we are the now generation. I want it now. No, you don't need it now. And yes, Mo, it is definitely a cancer in our community. Those, and I have to say it, the check cashing place.
What do you mean? That's
Well, the
that's
check cashing place,
Every Friday, or every other payday. It's
there they
mine.
full, right?
Yes.
And
So
they
what do you
get
mean
paid.
though?
They get paid for you to get your money. What kind of stuff is that? I
So
need
in
my
other words,
money.
when you go to cash your check, they take out a fee
Yes,
for giving you your money.
that's right. So why are you doing that? Why not work? Now again, you got to work at it because the banks are getting more stringent, but there are other vehicles out here, the cash apps, the what is it? The Robin Hoods and all these places that you can use without them taking your money because they're making money on you and they don't have a problem telling you that. They just keep your money in there for, you got to keep it in for a month. You got,
But in the meantime, each day that's making money for them.
that's right. But they are definitely, the payday loans, they are lethal. You will never get out at a 3% paying and interest. You'll never get out. 300%. I'm sorry, 300%. You'll never.
Amazing.
Don't get in it, because the deeper you get, the worse it gets.
Because
And
I
the
mean,
longer
I've
it
heard
takes.
of people that get like a whole living room of furniture.
Now, we know good and well we could easily get ourselves a little couch or go to the Goodwill and get something. Those were the days that we did that, and
Yeah.
get something that you can. And so it's not the finest, but it's yours, and you're not paying all these high interests. We, like you said earlier, we're consumers and we're concerned. For the longest, people used to laugh at me because I drove a Ford Taurus. I said, so does Warren Buffett. I'm in the
Yeah.
right.
No, he
you know,
drives his cars till the wheels fall off. That's what he does.
hey, and I'm down with
And
it.
he still lives in the same house he and his wife married when they was young.
That's
Still
it.
live in the same house.
But when you pass in our neighborhoods, I've passed with those Amsterdam projects and stuff, and people got doggone, they got Hummers, they got Maybachs. And I'm like, what? The idea that you wind up paying $1,000 a month for a car that depreciates. It's not going to increase in value, it depreciates. So therefore it goes down in value. So therefore, why can't you get something that you can afford? Not something that's going to, number one, if it does go into a lapse or where they have to what is it, repossess it.
Yeah.
Now your credit's messed up and the car gone.
But not only that, I understand here, at least in New York City, the auto insurance has gone up too.
Crazy, ridiculous. And don't be young. You don't have a prayer to get a good, they make you do some bad stuff, go to another state, you know, but it's bad,
You know, in the day of my parents, if you get a car, it normally took 3 years to pay it off. Now I understand it takes 6 to 7 years.
7 years
That's
they
like
can.
buying a house.
And the thing is, the car doesn't last that long. So, sometimes these cars will last maybe that third year is when they start acting up. They start acting funky.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And all that is designed. They already know how long it's going to take before you
that's
got to
it.
come
And
in.
so why bother and get something that will work, can drive. I know Jasmine Pfeiffer, she's the marketing VP for Soul City, but she's excellent in telling people the difference between leasing a car and financing and how the cost of it. I told her she need a show of her own to help people because
Maybe I'd like to have her on here because so many in our communities own cars. And I'll be walking around and I see a lot of boots on these cars, on the tires of these cars around here. It's
that's it.
saying
And a lot of
somebody
that is,
something.
they done targeted the community and they put them boots on. So if you owe in New York more than $200 then on your tickets, they coming for you. And that's the other thing. I'm hoping everybody out here who's in New York will fight because this congestion tax is coming. They just closed it down because of the elections.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Governor Hochul wanted to make sure she won the election, but
That's
they want
it.
to push it. So once you go past here in New York City, folks, for those of you who don't understand, if you live outside of New York, they've got it. If you go past 60 something street,
60th Street. If you
60th
go
Street, you are now
lower,
taxed what, $15 or something?
$15.
And you got people that's got to drive there every day.
Yep, I'm one of them.
And then not only that, but then you're under this restriction from about 9 to 9 p.m.
Yeah,
9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
that's the peak time. And so the non-peak is 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. So how you getting to work? Now they do have some exclusions and I hope they bring them back. One of them is if your income is under 40,000 and you're on food stamps or any kind of public assistance, uh, they will cut it down to 350.
Oh, whoa. That's nice of them. That's really nice of them times 5 days a week, times,
That's not a good
yeah,
situation.
times 20 days a month.
But
Yeah.
they're supposed to be making the trains better. I just don't see
Really?
it. I don't
Really?
see it. I don't see
Really? Yeah. We know we live here in New York. Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, nah, I need my life, so
Yeah.
but I'm not paying them $15, a day. I'm gonna find a way. There's gotta be that for
Yeah.
every rule and law that they create, there's always a loophole somewhere.
That's how they structured it too. Now,
Definite.
this Stephen E, one of our weekly viewers, he says he invests in crypto. So can we talk about that a second?
We
Because people are
can.
thinking as that as an alternative versus the stock market. And I thought at one time back in the day when you got stock, they would send you a stock certificate with
Yes,
a number attached to it. I
right.
understand nobody don't get no certificates now. Is
It
that
used to be
true?
the QSEP, and the reason why is because it got confusing and people lost their certificates, so they made it simple. You have your stock position. Crypto, I will say, and this is my take. If you have the 7 money milestones
And
taken care
that's
of,
what we want to talk about too, please.
okay, here are the 7 money milestones. Okay, because you go and get the crypto. What are you doing with your money? If you're making money on it, and not spending more. And then also note, you've got to report that crypto to when you do taxes. You got to report the transaction. I know many of people say, oh, I'm not doing that. Well, if you file a tax return, your personal tax return, in that return it says, have you received, do you trade, did you receive any income from a virtual currency? If you said no and you do, guess what? You are under perjury right now.
Yeah, you'll be penalized.
Yeah, and you can go to jail. Okay, they can, if they want to pull the plug. So be careful about that. But the 7 money milestones are getting a financial education, Number two is get proper protection. We got to insure everything, especially here in New York. We got to insure not just our lives, our cars, our homes. We got to make sure. And the only reason why we get our cars insured because they make us, you know.
Yeah,
Then you
yeah.
got your emergency fund. Six in my world is 6 to 1 year worth of your take home. It's not going to happen overnight, but you
Can
need to
you can
have.
you kind of make that more simple to people who may not understand?
Sure, you
Yeah.
take what your take home pay is. Okay, so let's say, for example, you say you make $100 a day, so that's $500 for the week,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not what you take home because Uncle Sam got a piece of that. So let's say out of that 500, you get to keep 300.
Mm-hmm.
So if every week you got to go, your goal is to put away a little bit of that money so till it reaches 6 months of what your take home. So if you got 300 times four, that's $1,200 for the month. Your goal should be to get to the $1,200 worth of savings. After that, another 1,200, and continue to try to build. There used to be on the internet, and I do it at my seminars, is that you take a dollar for every day in the year and every week in the year and put that money away. By the end of the year, you have $1,372. No, it is not a lot of money, but it's more than what you had. Start. And so that's the things that are important
Yeah.
to
What are
put.
the other milestones?
Okay, you got debt management. You've got to be able to manage. Someone asked, how do you manage this debt? That's one of the keys there is to write it down. No, don't do it on your phone. Write it down. How much do I owe? What's my interest rate? What's my minimum payment? And then work with it. Work with it to make your debt go away. You want to eliminate it, but remember this: if you want to buy a car or a house, you need to have two lines of credit, and they're not debit cards. They need to be credit cards.
Why is
So that.
that?
Hmm?
Why is that? Did you need
Because
credit
no
card
one's going
doesn't
to
it?
loan you money. They're not going to give you credit card if no one else is going to give you a credit card.
That makes sense. Okay, just checking.
Okay.
Just checking.
Yeah, they don't, so you need to build that credit. So
Yeah.
some cards like the what do they call them? The savings cards that you get credit for. You can have a credit card, but make sure it's reporting to the reporting agencies like TransUnion, Equifax,
So you can get the proper credit.
right, so that you can start to build your credit. The same thing is for your business. Your business needs to have its own credit line.
Question: which is better, to have a debit card or a credit card? Or when does one have more advantage than the other or
Well, the
disadvantage than the
credit
other?
card is important because that says someone trusted you enough to give you some money to spend because you're going to give it back. You're going to pay on it.
And
A
the debit
debit
card?
card just means I got my savings and I'm going to use it. And then after it's gone, I done spent. I spent. There's a difference between spending and circulating. Okay, circulating means it's going to come back. It may circulate a little slow, but it's going to come back. But once you spent it, it's gone. So you can have both worlds, but you need to have at least two lines of credit and develop them so that you can have it report to your credit companies that are out here. I'll tell you.
The other milestones?
Yes, more milestones. Cash flow. Make sure that you have, okay, we got things called the gig economy. They done gave a name to it. Gigging. What is gigging? People walk dogs, people
Yeah,
stand in line. Child,
yeah.
there was one girl on 60 Minutes. She made $60,000 a year hugging people.
Are
There's
you
a
serious?
there's the key is, and I remember in grad school, this was how it went. The professor said this: first, you find a problem. Then you find the solution. then you find somebody to pay you for that solution.
Interesting.
That's business.
Interesting.
Cash
Interesting.
flow is to really look, and not only with the cash flow is to budget. You need that. That's a curse word in our community, but you got to write it down to see, how am I spending my money? We become magicians quick with a $20 bill.
Yes,
How?
we do.
Because as soon as we buy something, poof, it's gone. So how do you stop that? Is to budget, and to see, what are you doing with your money and how is your money working for you? They always say pay yourself first. I said that's
Yes,
really
I
cute.
always heard that rule. Yes.
Yeah, but you got to do more than just tell people to pay themselves first, because they not going to do that.
People don't do that though.
Mm-mm. Even with the rules of, there's some that say, well, buy term, invest the rest, and people don't do that. It's not our nature. So what we need to do is change our mindset and enjoy building our savings and making our money work for us. And then above all, the sixth money milestone is building wealth. We need to make things work for us. We need to protect our money. We can have retirement accounts. We can have non-retirement. We need to build the wealth. Once we've built that wealth, now we need to protect it. And that's the last money milestone, is to protect it. How do we protect it? Get a will, you can get a trust, get a health proxy. These are the things you need. Did you all know you sent your kids off to college this year? And that child is no longer a child. That child is an adult. They're 18 years old. That means you have no rights. You can't get their medical information. You can't get their school information unless they fill out a release.
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
you got, these things have to be done. So this is, once you do, just to answer the brother that said about the crypto, is that one, if you got all of that stuff in place, I'm not battling you with your crypto. But if you don't have those things in place, then what are you doing? You're going, what they say, just backwards. There's another word mama used to say, a backwards. but
Yeah. Yeah.
but you got to put your stuff in order. Yeah, there are some elements, like they say, our money system is going to change, and it may very well be. I have seen some suggestions, if they ever bring back the backing of precious metals on our money.
In
But
fact,
the
that's what I want to ask you next,
Mhm.
because I understand originally in the Constitution, it was everything was to be dealt in gold and silver.
Yeah, it was supposed to. But
And
what if they
that's why I
do it?
said
Let me ask this question right now. Gold is running about $2,600 an ounce.
last year was only 1800. About
Look,
30, 40 years ago, it was only $32 an
I
ounce.
know. I was during the time when it was 800. So I know, silver is $35 or more, a little more an ounce. So that's why I say, don't stop giving away grandma's gold and silver. This is not a happenstance that takes place. Do y'all remember a few years ago that they had them gold and silver parties? They were like Tupperware parties.
Yeah, yes, I do.
And when you do that, you give up your gold, you gave up your silver. They gave you a few dollars on it. You thought you were great. You found broken earrings and stuff. And stop giving away your money. That's your wealth. During that time, gold was somewhere around about $1,000 an ounce. Look at it now; it has almost tripled. So, um, who's in the winning side?
I was reading, they said by 2033, an ounce of gold could probably be as high as $13,000 an ounce.
Good. And guess what? In the year 2030, now let me talk to my queens out there. 2030, women will be managing most of the money in this country to the tune of 30 trillion dollars. And we don't need to be spending it on red bottom shoes. Okay. We
Or
need to
Gucci
be
bags,
building,
$2,000.
giving it away. Instead, building it so that the legacies can go on. They talk about us and single mother homes and things like that. Well, okay. So why not build for your family, the next generation and the next, and educate them?
Uh, this person here, Johnny Johnson, says bankruptcy isn't only for the rich. Please speak on this.
Okay, let me tell you about the world of bankruptcy. It should be really almost the last resort, but it's not. And
Right. I
people
was
do,
told that. I had heard that ever since I was a youngster. When you go
yeah, it
bankrupt,
used to
you
be a
have no
time
choice.
that you could recuperate, but again, and I'll go on the record for this also. There's certain areas and certain people that they hold to account on a bankruptcy situation as opposed to, as you said, brother the rich. Um, so there are people you try to see how you can settle. Now, I'll tell you when you get ready to settle, though, in a settlement, make the negotiation so that you're not getting what's called a 1099-C, as in can. Reason being is that income that you just negotiated is going to be on your tax form.
Really?
So if you have a forgiveness of debt, and there's a way around it, need to see a good accountant.
Like
There's a
Dr.
way
Woodhouse.
around it.
Good.
Yes.
Mhm.
But the thing is that that's another element of how they keep us down. Yes, you can file bankruptcy. That's why I said is that you should be shooting for having a business with its own credit line, because then you can disappear. That's how someone can have a debt of over $90 million and still have a good credit score. That's someone who's running for that office right now.
Wow.
Oh, so they wanted to see the email again.
Yes. And I have it there at the bottom. And in fact, I'll take it off when we
There
go.
it is. It's yanab@wealthwave.com.
Yes. Okay.
That's my wealthwave.com is my one of my websites. It's an educational site.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Should people, based upon what you're saying, have at least a little precious metal and or a little crypto? In other words, what they this what this word used, the wealthy use, diversify
Diversify.
your portfolio. Is that
Yes,
what
you
you're
do.
saying?
But have a portfolio. You know, you want to diversify, and yes, you can have a little, but like I said, those 7 money milestones are important. And in there, you can have a savings. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. If crypto is working for you, don't put all your assets in there. Diversify.
Did
You have,
we finish the seventh step? Did we go
yeah, I
through
did
all
the
the steps?
seventh, which was protect your wealth.
Okay, good. I would
Yeah,
just want to
make
make
sure you
sure.
have, I am so tired of us fighting over grandma's this or the land is this or we're selling it. We need the wills, but also the sister that asked about the trust was important because with a trust you have the opportunity to speak from the grave and say, for example, I have a client of mine, bless her. She has a trust. Her children, well, they get nothing. They don't know this, but they don't get anything. But her grandchildren are eligible for her money upon her death if they, number one, have to bring a certificate of higher learning to receive the money. So they don't have to be a college degree. It can be a trade degree, but they need some form of higher learning. And then she added to it, they need to make sure they show they have a financial advisor. Okay, I'm getting messages. Okay.
Yeah, I know this the last day for cutoff, so I really didn't. But I mean, I could go about another 40 minutes, but we ain't gonna do that because I'm
Well, I'm
gonna.
hoping that you'll have me back and you'll
No,
come
I
on
want to
my
have you
show
back
and you
sooner than later because this is so important. Because based upon what is going to be announced this Wednesday and Thursday with Jerome Powell, the Fed chairman, is going
hmm
to have a ripple effect throughout this country, and it's talking about also infecting the global economy too, not
Well,
just
it
U.S.
will.
economy.
If the interest rates drop, if they drop, the cost of money will also be changing. It'll be either that it will have less to buy, inflation will, the inflation is going to go down. But the thing is that what are we going to do? We done lost, they put out there the jobs report and they said that we're getting more jobs.
And they lied about that.
Yeah, every time they give the jobs report, I'm like, yeah, but those are some of the people. You're not counting the people who were on unemployment already, you know.
And even stop
Um,
looking for jobs, looking for work.
or yeah, that's another thing. They stopped looking. We've got to wake up and stop being the sleeping giant. We need to, if someone out there has a business, number one, you need to respect the business, stop looking for the deal. But number two is that if they're out there, they can hire you. But don't do the okey doke where, you want to take off when you want to do what you want to because you see the brown skin, you think you can get over. Stop that. Respect the businesses and let the businesses hire our people.
Uh,
Hire us and hire our children. I watched in my Chinese restaurant in my block, and I watched, and they had on summertime, their kids work in that Chinese restaurant. And one of them was speaking so clearly. I said to him, "What is he doing?" He says, "My family putting me through med school. I have to work. I have to work here to help the business." We need to do the same.
we're going to take about two more questions. This person here, Lynn Love, Live Love Lynn, says if someone is coming up with a small lump of money, would you advise them to pay off a debt or invest? Which is a great question.
It is. And I'll tell you, they need to have, before I could make that decision because that's something that's real personal to them. But if they're coming into some lump sums, they need to get a financial strategy, put things in writing because maybe the debt is not all that serious and it may behoove them to keep it going and then use the money to invest to make it grow and then pay off some of it. So there's a different strategies that are out there. It's not cut and dry, and that's one of
Sure.
the things we must know, that financial strategies are not cut and dry, and they're not to just cookie cutter. It can't be. It's just like your fingerprints. We got all different types of things. I was
Okay. I really don't want you to go. I am not finished with you. However, I would like to invite you back very, very soon. I'm talking about in a couple of weeks.
okay.
Because everything, see, because it don't really make no difference who win this election. And so how much is the economy and our pocketbooks directly or indirectly are going to be affected. And a
It
lot of
is.
us
They're
don't
going
have a
to
clue.
affect it. Like I
A lot of us
said,
don't have a clue.
pay attention to your Congress and your Senate because those are the ones, and make them accountable, especially the congressional districts. Know that because that's so important. I mean, I understand, I have my preferences, because I'm so tired of cuckoo crazy. But the thing is that more than that, it is about understanding who's bringing. Do you know that the Congress, those that are in the congressional seats, can bring money to your district in your area? Your other persons to pay attention to are the city councils here in New York. They can put money in your area. So who's more important? Someone who doesn't even know your name or someone who's going to see you every day?
Well, somebody asked how could they get in touch with you. Everything is here. I'm not going to put it in the ticker form. I want everybody to take a screenshot because it's Dr. Jana B. Woodhouse, one of my favorite ladies, of course, financial educator, a brilliant, brilliant woman, a consultant. You were the first woman of color on Wall Street to kick butt. Okay, I use stronger language, but this is a children's show.
Yes.
Um,
And I'll tell you, my biggest honor was receiving the Wall Street Pioneer at the Tulsa 100th anniversary at Black Wall Street. That said it all.
you know what's interesting? Speaking of that, after they destroyed Tulsa and burned it to the ground, and black people went to the bank, they had no records of them.
That's right.
They could get no
And
money.
that's
And
that's
that's
the
what the
key.
bank pulled on them.
And my biggest thing, which for me is important, people talk about reparations. You want some reparations? The key is get your land straight, keep your land. Don't give away that land because they're not making any more land. And also, if they really want reparations, my thought is let's stop pay, can we stop paying real estate tax? That's a big reparation. Let me keep my land and I don't have to pay real estate tax. I think that works.
That sounds incredibly simple.
I know, but they're not going to do it. But it's okay. That's one of the things because the other aspects behind it, they can't give us back our lives, our ancestors' lives. But there's some things that need to be really changed because there's so many people of color who have lost the land because it was stolen.
You know, it's interesting. There's a book called The Color of Law by Richard Roth, I think. Roth.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
they talk about how this country has designed it to keep us from really growing financially as and then they want to, Malcolm X says you break the leg and call us a cripple. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. You empty our potential to have our businesses and grow our community, and then you say we're lazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And excuse me, if history serves me correctly, we built this country
Sure
without
did.
any compensation, no pensions, no social security, nothing, nothing. And as it was once says, we work till can't see in the morning, till you can't see at night.
That's it. We don't have no problems working, but the thing is that we got to stop. They changed our mindset and they moved us from being self employed entrepreneurs into the world of working for someone. And when someone you're working for, you get a salary. Well, I have a friend of mine that said it so well. Salary sounds a lot like slavery. They tell you where you live, how you live, when you vacation, what you eat. And the reason being is that they control, and I don't care how much money you make, because there's was it $40 million basketball players, and they tell them how much what they got to wear on the court.
Yep.
When they sit on the sidelines.
Yep.
You want to be free.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, people had asked for your contact numbers. You see it there on the screen with the 646-375-2121. And you said you even offer consultation pro bono, so to speak.
Yes, I will. They will get they get a 30-minute consultation. We tell them what to bring. They put together a full package of where they are and where they want to go. They just have to bring their dreams.
And her website is howmoneyworks.com. And for those of you, by the way, are these books available on Amazon?
Yeah, but you don't have to go to Amazon because Amazon going to charge you. So you just go to howmoneyworks.com/Yana B.
That's at the
On that
bottom left. That's at the bottom left of
right. And once you
howmoneyworks.com.
go on the site, it's a place that you can order the books. And the books don't take long to read. They're at like a 12th grade reading level. A 12-year-old could read it. It takes less than an hour to read. We purposely made it simple, but it's the fundamentals of financial literacy.
Well, let me tell you this. About 3 years or 4 years ago, you gave me that book in the center, and it
Yes.
has changed the way I looked at money ever since.
Well, we
And
need to do, I'm glad to hear that. And we're
yeah,
going to keep on going till we get this done. The Change Your Literacy, Change Your Life book has three different uh, types of pages. One is for the person who wants to read, it's 86 pages. For the one who doesn't want to read but want to get a little bit of the taste, then I think that one's like about 20 some pages. And then we got one that's 12 pages. So whoever doesn't, because they say if you want to hide something, put it in a book. Well, we sort of addressed all of that.
well, I think personally, Yana, everybody needs to have all three, especially
They
women.
do.
And especially if what you're saying going forward, that women are going to be the powerhouse of the economic drive of this country, they need to get that book on the right.
That's right. They
They
need
can
to
control.
understand and regain their power, and men need to be nice to them because they're getting ready to get some. But it's something about financially. And also, when you go on the site, if or you can send me an email because we do financial literacy seminars, and I'll be glad to invite everybody to come. And I tell folks now it's done in PJs. You can do a Zoom.
Yana Woodhouse, I love you very much.
Love you
I
too.
really, really do.
Oh, wait a minute. I got I
Really do.
got to promote something because you didn't say nothing about it. I guess you're going to talk about it. But
What?
I'm telling all of y'all, they said that the wealthy always had someone to work with spiritually.
Hmm.
Okay, so my spiritual side to come on now, don't be showing up. I have my A star, and Lord knows I will call him if this thing doesn't work for me. So today is my double green day. You'll think I'm playing, right? No, I read mine every day and it's on point. So I think his grandchild said it, and I'm saying it. This is having a little Lloyd in your pocket.
Yeah, yes, it is. It is. It's a star eight. Thank you. Love you much for that. That's nice. And also when I'm on your show, I'm going to let people know because I've been invited to your show a couple of times too. And I
Yeah,
gotta thank Matt for your brother for like Matt McCoy is a genius. Soul City Network. It's nice. Jana, thank you so much. I
thank you
really,
so much.
really appreciate you doing this because when I look at what I read or understand, there's a lot of things coming down the pike that's going to have a tremendous ripple effect on us economically. And almost always we're the last ones to get it. And by that
That's
time,
it.
it's like too
Let
late.
me know because once this week goes by, it's going to be a lot of stuff happening. Again, this is Life Insurance Awareness Month. Also, starting October is enrollment for those who turn 65 or who are over 65 now to get their Medicare and understand what that's all about. There's a lot of stuff
I got
going
to have you back on next month. So you'll be back on a couple of weeks then, knowing that.
on.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you. Love you much, Jana.
take
Thank
care.
you so, so much.
You're
Okay,
welcome, Lloyd.
everybody. That was good. I gotta be honest. Yana is my girl. She's Dr. Woodhouse to y'all, okay, but she's Yana to me. Is I got it like that. And but I do want to thank her very much. And I do want to thank all of you for sticking around. I hope that this has helped every one of you who are in some way trying to deal with your finances, trying to figure out how to just be better at what you do. I do want to know working backwards or let you know working backwards that my sponsors have been Manifest on Purpose with Miss Kimberly. That's every Monday and Wednesday morning. She also has a weekly wisdom now on Sunday. King Simon, my buddy, who's having an event that's just around the corner now, literally. Also, one of my special favorite ladies. I got a lot of special ladies. As you can see, there's special Monique and Sister Kafunia out at Nicholas, Brooklyn. They celebrating 50 years of service to the community, to spreading knowledge and wisdom and understanding. And they're at 1936 Fulton Street in Brooklyn, New York City. And Brother Reza Islam, who's going to be there this coming Wednesday. My guest is going to be Aminat Alapido. Jazz Aphrodite is going to sit in for me. I have to be away that this Wednesday, but she does a good job. And so there's some things that they can have coming up. also, in addition to that, please also pick up, and I'm going to promote Jackie's book, Jazz Aphrodite. It's available. Audio is online, Knocking from the Inside. You got to read this book or hear the audio version. I'm telling you, it's absolutely amazing. For those of you, believe it or not, we're halfway through September already. Seemed like I just released this bad boy, but starting to work on October. And so you get the newsletter. It's absolutely free. Just go to either lloyd-strayhorn.com or Linktree, okay, / numbers in you. And if you don't want to read the newsletter, you can hear what was said as Miss Kimberly and I kind of coordinate every month. This is just an idea that started as one. Now we're into the 9th month where you can actually hear the audio. And then when you click on the audio, you can actually go to the link that best serves you. Some of you believed, well, I need to look at my moon sign rather than my sun sign, my ascendant sign rather than the moon sign, but whichever one, I got you covered. All right. So it's just a matter of what you decide. Okay. And this is the show that she has every Sunday now called Weekly Wisdom. Just go to Kimberly.com, KIMBALEY.com. Okay. And for those of you, thank you very much for downloading my app. I understand. I talked to my developer the other day. It says about 80% there. I want to go about 95%, and then I'll feel much better. But listen, knowing where I know, starting where I'm starting, and I have certain people to thank, from Jazz Aphrodite to Uchenna to the developers at the place where this is, for making this happen. They were all instrumental for making this. So this ain't a Lloyd Strayhorn. This is a team effort. All right. So everybody, I want to thank you very, very much. And this was fun. This was fun. But at the same time, folks, it's no joke. Please take care of not only yourselves, but it looks like you're going to have to really take care of your pocketbook as well. Talk to you later. Bye.